Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Salma. I'm a mom of 6, and here we talk about things related to learning Quran with kids, parenting, the Muslim family, and all topics related to that. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that comes up frequently in discussions, with parents in regards to Quran memorization with children, and that is how to balance between freedom in learning and letting your kids be in charge of their own learning, and structure and strictness, and that's often required, or people think it's required when memorizing the Quran, right? That balance between discipline, strictness, sort of the stick, right? When we think of the example between carrot and the stick, punishment and rewards, Quran learning is often associated with strictness, with discipline, with the routine, with strict regime, right? Or strict methods. And so the other side of the coin is sort of that free mindset, kids playing and kids, not wanting to do it. And often this idea comes, well, kids will never learn Quran if you don't make them learn it, right? Or if you don't force them, and kids would rather play. And so how to balance those two things? What's the fine line? Do we just let the kids be because they will never, will they ever express desire to sit and learn and read the Quran and memorize the Quran? Or do we just make it all about strictness and forcing them and, all these kind of things? So we'll explore those ideas today, inshallah, in the video. And so I want to bring up 3 points. And as I talk about these kind of things, I base it on my experience as a mom. My 6 kids have all done varying degrees of Quran memorization and recitation. Some of my kids have completed the memorization, some haven't, some are taking a break, some are just starting out and learning. So there are varying levels that I have been through, right? And so I want to kind of draw from my life experience as a mom of 6 kids who have been involved in Quran memorization the last 15 to 20 years, right? My oldest child is 22. And, we had started Quran memorization with him when he was very young. And my current last child, she is 7, right? And I had posted some videos. She is just starting. She's just on Juz Amma, right? And so we have a big window of experience, right? And so it's important to know that we're homeschoolers, so our kids don't go to school, and even more so, we are unschoolers, so we don't follow a strict and rigid curriculum. And I think it's fair enough that you know that before we embark on this, because this is certainly influencing my decision on how I approach Quran learning. We have changed our paths many, many different times throughout the years, so feel free to experiment, feel free to figure out, what's the best way that works for your family. Unfortunately, I found that the videos, or there was no resources available on this topic when I was starting out, right? And there was no other parents, I could check in and talk to about, the different ways, because the pathways was sort of send the kids to the Quran program and stick with it and just do that. We have been through numerous Quran programs in the past, where it was led by sheikhs and shuyukh and teachers and these kind of things. Online programs, in-person programs, different things. My older boys went to a Quran merkez, or like a center, right? At one point, they were even in like a Hifdh boarding school. So we have explored the full range. And then I had made a video about why we quit the traditional Quran memorization madrasas, right? So I have made a video about, why we quit the Quran school, but we have not quit Hifdh, right? And so we have done the full range of back and forth of, strictness and, totally taking a break and not reading Quran at all, and just kind of recovering from all the negative experiences. So my video today will reflect all that, inshallah, and hopefully you'll find some of it helpful to your own situation. So as I'm talking about any of these things on my channel, I'm sharing obviously from my experience and my knowledge and what we have been through. And then it's on you when you're watching it to see. I want to make it applicable to everybody, right? And so kind of take it with a grain of salt, whatever I'm saying, because our life circumstances are not the same. You might not come from the same culture, you might not live in the same circumstances, you might not have the same amount of children that I have, or the environment that I'm in. And so take it with a grain of salt and apply whatever I'm saying to all your own unique situation. So take a look at yourself, as you're hearing all these things, and sort of analyze yourself. So these questions, or like these prompts that I'm doing here, that I'm discussing them, they're almost like best followed with a journal. Like, if you're sitting there and kind of hearing these things that I'm talking about, try to kind of figure out your own philosophy on these issues. Where do you stand as I'm going through these questions? So this way you will get the most out of it, right? It's not meant to be a copying kind of thing. Like, you cannot copy the thing that I'm exactly doing, not because it's special or anything like that, but rather because it's our unique path that we have taken as a family, and your family will be different, and you have to do what's best for your family. Okay, so those are the disclaimers before we start. So I want to talk about 3 points today, inshallah. And so point number 1 is to, before you kind of decide, which path to take between structure and rigidness and strictness and discipline and freedom, to check yourself, to check your own gut feeling on this. Like, how do you think learning should happen? How do you think, what do you envision for your Muslim family? And I've done a video about a vision for your Muslim family, so you can check that out. But I mean here as well, what are the shoulds in your head? How are you envisioning it? Like, should all your children memorize the Qur'an? What's the minimum level that you want to achieve in your family? Are you going to be happy if they just read the Arabic script, or you want them to have a daily schedule, daily routine? What is it that you want, right? Check yourself. So analyze yourself, or, even think about your own upbringing. What was your experience like learning? Is there something that you want to duplicate? Maybe you come from a very strict background, right? Maybe those are the negative experiences that you don't want. Maybe you had a teacher who was hitting you. Maybe you had a teacher who was yelling at you. Maybe that whole Quran learning experience left a bitter taste in your mouth and you'd rather not, right? Or you had a great experience. You were very bonded to your teacher. It was like, subhanAllah, this amazing experience. So check yourself and, check your experiences, and then see what is it that you want to duplicate, what is it that you want to make better, and think about your philosophy. Like, what is your goal here? Like, don't look at your kids yet. That's going to be point 2. But in point number 1, what is your philosophy in terms of learning? Like, do you prefer a structure? What is it that how do you think learning happens best, right? And if you don't know and you don't have answers to this topic, give it some thought. Try to think about, how did you do in school? Do you like schedules, or are you more like a free spirited type of person, right? Because none of this is going to work if you don't stick with it as a parent, right? Because you're going to be the guide and the leader of your family, right? So check yourself first and figure out sort of your philosophy in terms of those things. So for us, as I mentioned, we are homeschoolers, right? And so our kids don't even go to school. So for us, that obviously has a huge impact on our free time, has a huge impact on our availability to do Quran in a relaxed fashion, right? And so this affects our schedule. So if you're somebody whose kids go to school, or who's pursuing a challenging program, and you want them to do Hifdh at the same time, that's going to require a different kind of commitment, right? And so check yourself, check your family, your own current circumstances, right? So sort of do a triage on your own family life. Is your husband able to help if you're a mom watching this? Or if you're the husband, can your wife help out? Can she be in charge of this thing? Or are you going to solely, take a responsibility for this matter? Or are you both going to help each other? What is the environment like? Do you live in an area where other kids are memorizing Quran as well? Like, check your situation before you start, because our starting points are going to be different, right? And so I happen to live in a Muslim country right now, alhamdulillah, and that is a huge blessing. But there was times where we didn't live here. We lived in North America, we lived in Canada, and then, we made a conscious choice and a decision with a lot of dua, and with Allah's help, we were able to move to an area, where our kids could live in a Muslim environment. And that obviously has affected their ability to study the Book of Allah. If your kids are in a public school in a, European country or North America or somewhere else, in a Muslim minority country, their daily life is going to look different. And obviously, you're going to have to alternate between, strictness and freedom, and it's going to look in a very different way, right? And so you have to sort of assess your circumstances first, check yourself first before you kind of make a decision. And for example, if you happen to live in a country, where there's a lot of freedom already regarding all these other kind of things, you're not going to be able to enforce so much discipline regarding the Quran, because that's going to feel counterintuitive, right? So if your kids are having fun learning in their school, and, there's a Montessori program, or they live in Finland or Norway, and, like, I'm just giving you, funny examples here, and then you force them at home to learn the Quran, it's just going to backfire, right? That strictness and that discipline is not going to, be helpful. So assess your circumstances first, and that's going to help you make a decision, which way to go or how to balance between structure and freedom, right? That's point number 1. Point number 2 is, now start looking at your children and start looking at the child in front of you. Okay, who is this child? How are they functioning best? What do they need? What are their needs? What are their learning styles? what kind of energy do they bring with them, right? And so I happen to have, alhamdulillah, 6 children who are on very opposite ends of the spectrum, right? I have some very introverted children. I have some very extroverted children. I have some children whose batteries get drained after one activity in the week. And I have some that would be on the go every day of their lives, right? And so obviously their needs will differ and their unique learning challenges will be different. I remember my boys, and I hope they don't mind me talking about this many years back. One of them was super stressed in an environment, in a Qur'an learning environment, because there was too many people, there was just too much stuff going on, whereas the other one loved it, right? And so it was the same environment. There was nothing, nothing different. It was the same environment, but two of them were reacting to the environment in very different ways, right? So sometimes a particular program or a method or way will work for one child and not the other, right? And so it's very, very important to look at each individual child and then determine how is it that you can come alongside of them? How can you meet their needs? Are they more suited to one-on-one work, or do they prefer being in a class? Some kids love being in a class with other kids who are memorizing, right? Some kids like competition. Some are absolutely stressed by competition, right? They don't want to be compared. They don't want to, go to a Quran contest. They don't want to go to a Quran event, right? And some of them love having the mic in front of them and, reciting out loud in front of everybody, right? So these things will differ. And so you will have kids that thrive on a schedule, and you will have kids that love, knowing what's next, having that plan, and they don't like anything unknown thrown at them, right? And you will have some kids who are just totally happy, to be on the go and just say, hey, let's do this, and let's change the schedule, and let's recite some Quran in the car, and they will be happy with that. So your decision, how much freedom to allow or how to structure this kind of thing will depend on the child in front of you. Now, also, you will have children that are very compliant, children that are sort of saying, okay, yes, mama, baba, I'll do that kind of thing, and they will not have any issues. And then you're going to have more resilient children, who are going to say, hey, this doesn't work for me. I don't want it. This is boring. Why do I have to do this? They will be questioning you more. And so if you have that kind of child in front of you, you have to give them more autonomy over their learning. You have to bring them on board. They have to understand why they're doing this, right? And so if you have young children, you have to start with a love for Allah. You have to start with the book of Allah, with the learning. And, and it's simple enough when they're, 3, 4, and they're playing with the puzzles of Arabic letters. And, but then, when they get to be 6 or 7 or 8, they start questioning things, And so last night with my 7.5-year-old daughter, she was asking, she's like, well, I don't understand the things I'm reciting, And then we talked about the translation, and then we talked about the words, and we talked about the stories. And then she's like, yeah, in that story, that bad guy is mentioned. Oh, I forget his name. What's his name? Oh, Fir'aun and Musa. And, can you tell me the story about Musa again? So we have to make it relevant for them. And they have to feel like they're in charge and they have autonomy over their own learning, and they have to feel that freedom. So each child will be individually in front of you, and you have to make that plan. So this is, why it's very difficult to give Quran learning plans for somebody, because you have to really make it individual. Like I said, I have 6 children, and all of the kids have been very different from each other in the way they learn. And so unfortunately, most mainstream Quran learning programs are not very individualized. Like you have to kind of, you just fit into the class. You have to adapt to the teacher the way it is. And so sometimes it's better if the parents approach the learning at home and, looking at their own children, they will know them best, right? And this is what I've also done a video why it's important for you as a parent to come alongside the Quran memorization journey, because then you will be able to decide how much freedom and how much structure your child needs, okay? So you looked at yourself, you looked at your child. Now you're going to look at your home environment, okay? So you're going to look at what's going on in your household, what's going on in your daily routine. Does your daily life reflect your values? If somebody were to record a video, if somebody were to just, do like a silent movie of your life, would it match your words? Would it match what you're trying to say or trying to do? So for example, you keep talking about Quran memorization and, Hifdh and all these kind of things for your parent, but then, people in the silent movie, they wouldn't really see that. They don't see you picking up the Quran. They don't see you being engaged with the word of Allah, right? And so we have to make sure our environment matches the values, right? And that's difficult, right? That's difficult. And this is why we're here in this channel, right? We're trying to bridge that gap between our daily lives. So the more you can work on establishing your daily life around the Book of Allah, and the more it's going to feel natural, right? And so, for example, if your life has nothing to do with the Quran whole day long, and then all of a sudden you're screaming and yelling at your kids and telling them, it's Quran class time, come on, go, your teacher's waiting for you, get ready, and you're standing there and, forcing them to do it, and it has no connection to their real life whatsoever, it's going to be hard, and that discipline is going to backfire. But if you make it a natural part of your life, there won't be this discipline required. It will just flow naturally, right? And so if you have a routine of, listening to the Quran while you're driving, or if you have the routine of playing the Quran in your home, the kids will be used to it. If you play it before bedtime, if you and your spouse are reciting Quran, it will feel natural to them. It won't feel like a chore. If everybody is reciting Surah Kahf, on Friday, it becomes part of the family culture. So take a look at your family culture. This is, what's going to make it easier not to make it a discipline thing. This is what's going to make it easier. So if my older children are reciting the Quran, my younger ones are already looking up to that, right? I'm already creating that environment. Now, obviously, now it's easier for me because I have older kids. But even those older kids, we had to start somewhere. So I have, I remember times, where the boys would be just playing with Legos and we had Quran playing in the background. And of course, it's not as idyllic. They're yelling and screaming and they're still fighting with each other, but we got some Quran done that day. So it's a long journey. And so you want to bridge that. So you don't want to have this battle or fight over discipline and, Quran being something separate from your life. But it should be part of your daily routine. It should be part that you're reciting it, My daughter came in yesterday and I was reviewing my tajweed lesson, and, I was struggling with the dad and the rikhawa time, and I'm trying to say it, and then she came in and she's just joining me, and she sees me studying, right? So she sees me preparing for my class, so it becomes part of that natural kind of environment, and so that way discipline doesn't really have to be used, right? And so you allow your kids to take charge of their own learning and to be independent. Now, I listen a lot to my kids, and probably they will say it's not enough, but that's a topic for another time. When I bring them on for the interview, they can share their side, right? But I try to accommodate their needs, so when they tell me, hey, this is boring, this is not working for me, or when they say this is too much, can we slow down here? Why? Like just the other day, a few weeks ago, we had stopped the Hifdh for one of my daughters because she was getting overwhelmed, and she was saying like, this is not enjoyable. I'm just getting stressed out. I'm just getting anxious. The load is getting bigger. So we went back to, hey, let's make it easy. Let's stick with what you have. Let's keep revising. And then she was saying, can I just do Hifdh on my own for right now? I don't want the teacher to put that pressure on me. I'd rather just kind of memorize in the background on my own. And then we said, okay, that's fine. So as long as she keeps showing up. So it's important to kind of check in with your kids, to have that idea that they know as well what works for them and what doesn't, right? And often we kind of dismiss their concern. Almost we gaslight them, right? Like we tell them, oh, no, it's not like that, right? And so the other day, one of my daughters came. I have 4 daughters. So when I talk about one of the daughters, I don't always talk about the same one. I have 4 of them, alhamdulillah. And so one of them, she came and she said, she felt not heard by her teacher. She felt very confused, and she kept saying something to her teacher, and her teacher kept dismissing her. And she said she wasn't happy with the relationship for a while now. So I'm working now on figuring out ways how to improve the relationship, including trying out a different teacher just to see if that will alleviate the problem, right? And so I trust their decision making. I trust when they're saying something is bothering them, something is probably bothering them, right? And so I didn't have all this wisdom when I was a young mom. When I was a young mom, everybody said, the sheikh knows the Quran, people of Quran know, send them over there, kids need a mentor and these kind of things. And unfortunately, we made some mistakes along the way because a lot of the Quran teachers have no background in teaching children. A lot of the Quran teachers have no idea what kind of damage they're creating. And we have a lot of grown Hufaz who are damaged, unfortunately, right? And who don't have a working relationship with the Quran now as grown people, or who don't have a relationship with their parents, God forbid. And so it's important to listen to your children. And so if there's anything I've learned, and I would like to save you the heartache, if I could, is to listen to your children. And so if they bring up an issue, figure out why is that an issue, right? And again, a lot of people come with this idea, well, children are manipulative, children are just trying to get out of it. I don't hold this philosophy. I think children behave well when they can, and if they cannot, something is bothering them. And you need to figure out what that is. Maybe your kids are in a non-Muslim environment, maybe your kids are on the internet, maybe your kids are influenced by other people. There's any number of reasons. Maybe they're just having a bad day. So that's okay too. It's okay to take a break. And so you have to kind of figure out, same as if they had a fever and you would kind of, let's say, okay, let's take a rest, let's take a break. Sometimes they will have soul fever. Sometimes they will have, a struggle with the Qur'an, and you have to kind of help them get over it, right? And so take a look at yourself, take a look at your children in front of you, and take a look at your home environment and your home culture or your family culture. What is going on there, and how can you let everybody kind of have more autonomy over their own learning, and how can you make it more natural, as if you're brushing your teeth, right? And so, of course, you as a parent know the benefit of it. You know why brushing teeth is important. A 2-year-old doesn't necessarily always want to brush their teeth, or a 5-year-old, but you as a parent need to find the best way how to do that. And you don't want to physically hurt them. Again, this is something that used to happen a lot of times and still happens, unfortunately, in Quran learning environments. So we don't want to use violence, because this is not from the Sunnah. This is not the way the Prophet ﷺ taught the Quran, and we have to kind of remember that children are very innocent, and children as a default are just soaking up everything, from their environment. And so if their environment is wrong, then we need to work as parents to fix it and to make it better. So I hope this helps, inshallah, on how to make your decision, between balance and structure and freedom, how to go about that, and how to preserve the relationship with your children and the relationship with the Book of Allah. I'll see you in the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.